Two girls could be heard making noise. But Jaune and Lilith just appreciated the view. As they exit, Lilith just wander around in awe as Jaune followed her. Until a large explosion got the father and daughter's attention. They investigate only to find a girl in a red hood laying on a crater. Jaune, how's the weather down there? RWBY, ugh, hi. Jaune gave her a helping hand. RWBY, thanks. Jaune, the name is Jaune Arc. RWBY, well hi Jaune, I'm RWBY Rose. They walk across the courtyard. RWBY, I have this. RWBY deploys Crescent Rose with pride. Jaune, a unique weapon choice. Difficult for regular people to wield, but you seem specially trained. Sniper rifle modification to compensate for lack of force. RWBY, yuh. Jaune noticed himself being too serious and apologized. Jaune, sorry, I was trained in ancient ways, so I have a habit of studying new things and getting too engrossed with analyzing. RWBY, okay, what do you have? Jaune, modified weapons. I don't believe in mecha shift weapons, sorry. RWBY, whaat? But mecha shift weapons are the best. Jaune, not if you're a bounty hunter. Such weapons are an easy weak point to exploit. RWBY shuddered knowing this person knows how to break mecha shift weapons. Jaune, don't worry, I only do that when I'm working. RWBY, oh, do you know where we're going? Jaune, yeah, we're going to the auditorium. RWBY, okay, then RWBY notices a small girl walking beside them. Jaune, she's my daughter Lilith. RWBY, Later at Beacon Auditorium. RWBY, hey, there's my sister. See ya, Jaune. RWBY disappeared in a storm of petals. Jaune picks up Lilith in his arms. Jaune, let's get a closer look, Lilith. Lilith, yay! Unaware a pair of green eyes was looking at them. No changes to Oshpin's speech. But Oshpin looks intently at Jaune as he left. Beacon Ballroom. Jaune puts his armor and helmet in the bag and carried with him to get some sleep. He doesn't trust the place enough to be secured. Jaune and Lilith enters and see most of the boys posing to get attention. Jaune moves past them, rolling his eyes. Muscle heads gives men a bad name. Jaune looks for a quiet place to get Lilith to sleep. He sees a quiet enough space near a girl with a bow reading a book. Jaune, excuse me, is this place taken? Blake, no, but please be quiet. People here don't get the concept do not disturb. Jaune, believe me, I know what that feels like, living with 7 sisters. Blake looks at him mortified. Blake, how did you survive? Jaune, a massive amount of patience. Jaune sets up his and Lilith's sleeping bag. Blake curiously looks at the duo. Blake, yuh. Jaune looks at her staring. Jaune, oh. Where are my manners? My name is Jaune Arc, and this is my daughter Lilith Arc. Blake looks at the girl and saw she has a rabbit cotton tail. Blake looks at Jaune and confirming he's a human. Somehow that put a smile on her face. A human father and a faunus daughter. Blake. Oh, my name is Blake. Blake Belladonna. Blake simply observed the father-daughter duo. John began reading from a book he took from his bag. Looking at the book, it seems pretty old. John, it was the time when at the darkest moment on Remnant came a man who led the faunus to freedom. Despite being human, he still cared about his fellow man. The people rejoiced at their savior as they chant his name, Mandalore the Just. Lilith finally sleeping. All the while Blake forgot about her book and listened to John's never-heard tale. John tucks Lilith in. Blake then talked to John silently. Blake, I've read so many books. I never heard of this human hero for the faunus before. John, it's not a published book, Blake. This is the history of my family that has been around for 4,000 years. Blake's eyes widen. Blake, your family is that old? John, yes, although our name changed through the ages and split to multiple families. But we preserved our history as some of my ancestors worked as government officials and historians, documenting and recording our history along with remnants. This book I hold is the record of journals of my warrior family. Blake, wow, that's a precious book to you then. And I thought I loved books. John, at first I read from this to inspire me to be better. But when I had Lilith, I use it to teach her the discipline and moral code my family lives by. Blake, you really love her. John, she's my entire world. I will fight the world for her. Blake smiles genuinely. For a human to love a faunus this much, it gives her hope that one day her dream can come true. Suddenly two girls approached them. Ruby, hi there. Blake looks at the girls. Blake, hi. Ruby, what book is that? Blake, A Man with Two Souls. Ruby, I like reading books too. My mom used to read them to me. I like the hero who saved the day and helps people. John just smiles at her. Blake, isn't that a bit childish? Ruby, that's why we're here, right? To make a difference. Blake and John looks at her and just smiles. You. Ruby, you. John suddenly chests them both. John, my daughter is sleeping. Keep it down. The three girls looked down and saw a little girl sleeping and lowered their voices. Weiss, I came here to give you this and don't bother me again. Ruby looks at the book Dust for Dummies. Young, whoa, let's just start over here. Ruby, I was trying to say I'm sorry, and can't we just be friends? Weiss, yeah, and we can have a sleepover, and we can paint our nails and talk about boys. And Weiss looks at John like tall and scruffy over here. John had enough. He was taught to respect others, and this brat who's aiming to be a huntress who is supposed to be humble and compassionate is treating a possible future teammate so poorly is utterly disgusting. John stood and marched to them. John, no, you listen here. Ruby is trying to apologize and try to be friendly. And you're here just being insulting, not to her, but to me who has nothing to do with me. Ruby, John, hey crater face. Ruby suppressed the urge to yell to correct him for the little girl. Jaune, this immature behavior is appalling. Weiss, why? Jaune nods to Blake to blow out the lights. And the night just passed. And tomorrow will be the start of initiation.